You don't know?
Nope.
Viewers, you don't know who the cameraman is.
No
You
one.
don't know why you're being made to see these things. Nor do I. You're seeing me. I can't even see you. I may be dead by the time you watch this. Very possibly are. You don't know who's the man who's making things he wants you to see. Destroy your television sets. Now. You must listen to no orders. That's all I can tell you at this point in humanity. Believe me. That's our attention.
I think we've been hypnotized and conditioned into becoming materialists. I think that we define reality with our senses, and I think that is one of the biggest illusions. So the fundamental question is, can you believe in a future?
The people selected for extermination by the Nazis were herded into concentration camps located all over Eastern Europe. The life expectancy of prisoners in the camps was only 270 days. They were worked, starved, tortured. And when they couldn't work anymore, they were exterminated in gas chambers. And their remains were disposed of in ovens. In all, the Nazis exterminated over 10 million men, women, and children in these concentration camps. What you just saw took place in Germany between 1934 and 1945. The situation grew out of the aftermath of World War I. Germany had been defeated. Leadership was at a low ebb. Inflation was high. And thousands were homeless, hungry, jobless. And Hitler took advantage of the situation to establish himself and his Third Reich. We all know the rest, the camps, the killings. What resulted was the most efficient death machinery ever devised. Robert, please excuse us if we're boring you. Amy.
Were all Germans Nazis?
No. As a matter of fact, less than 10% of the German population belonged to the Nazi Party.
Then how come nobody tried to stop them?
They said they didn't know what was happening.
Eric, how could you kill 10 million people without somebody noticing?
Yeah.
That can't be true.
Success? Success through discipline. Nobody here wants a taste of power and success? Okay. Here we go. David. Eric. You play football? You know it takes discipline to win. What about ballet dancers? Andre? You know it takes long, hard hours of work for them to develop their skill. Same goes with painters, working at their craft, scientists. It is all discipline, control, the strength of the will. Well, there's something we can do to experience power through discipline right now. Now let's try it again. Now the quieter and more controlled you are, the quicker you'll be able to reach your seats properly. Excellent. Half the time. Now, there are 3 more rules which you must obey. 1, everybody must have pencils and note paper for note-taking. 2, when asking or answering a question, you must stand at the side of your seats. And 3, the first words when answering or asking a question are Mr. Ross. Right? Brad? Brad, who was the British Prime Minister before Winston Churchill?
Wasn't it the...
You weren't listening. Remember? Discipline. Robert, show Brad the proper procedure for asking a question.
Mr. Ross.
That's correct. Thank you, Robert. Again, Brad?
Mr. Ross, wasn't it the Prime Minister?
No, too slow. Much too slow. From now on, your answers are to be as short as possible. Now sit down and try it again.
Mr. Ross, Chamberlain.
Now that's the way to answer a question. Punctual, precise. What country did Hitler invade in September of 1939? Andrea.
Mr. Ross, I don't know.
Still a good response, Andrea. Amy.
Mr. Ross, Poland.
Excellent. What was the name of Hitler's political party?
Mr. Ross, the Nazis.
Good, Brian. Very quick. That was the short name. What was the official name? Laurie.
The National Social...
Sit down and do it again.
Mr. Ross, the National Socialist German Workers' Party.
Correct. Peter, who proposed the Lend-Lease Act?
Mr. Ross, Roosevelt.
Right. Who died in the death camps?
Mr. Ross, Jews, gypsies, and homosexuals.
Who ran the death camps?
Mr. Ross, the SS.
Excellent. Now, I want every single member of the Wave to attend the rally. Each member of this class is personally responsible for a record turnout.
But an experiment is not a public opinion poll. It examines behavior under the pressure of social forces, as the experiment of Solomon Asch reveals.
The experiment you'll be taking part in today involves the perception of lengths of lines. As you can see here, I have a number of cards, and on each card there are several lines. Your task is a very simple one. You're to look at the line on the left and determine which of the three lines on the right is equal to it in length. All right, we'll proceed in this order. You'll give your answer.
Only one of the people in the group is a real subject, the fifth person with the white T-shirt. The others are confederates of the experimenter and have been told to give wrong answers on some of the trials. The experiment begins uneventfully as subjects give their judgments.
2.
2.
2.
2.
2. 3.
3.
3.
3.
But on the third trial, something happens.
2. 2.
2.
2.
2.
The subject denies the evidence of his own eyes and yields to group influence.
1.
Asch found subjects went along with the group on 37% of the critical trials. But he found through interviews that they went along with the group for different reasons.
1.
1.
They must be right. There are 4 of them and 1 of me. 1.
This subject's yielding is based on a distortion of his judgment. He genuinely believes that the group is correct.
1.
1.
1.
2. 1. 2. 2. 2.
I know they're wrong, but why should I make waves?
2.
In this case, the subject knows he is right, but goes along to avoid the discomfort of disagreeing with the group. Here, the distortion is at the level of his response.
2. 2. 2. 2.
In the previous experiment, the naive subject stood alone against the group. In this variation, Asch gave the naive subject a partner, here seated in the third position, who also gives the correct response.
1.
1. 2. 1.
2.
With a partner, yielding drops to only 5% of the critical trials compared to 37% without a partner. Although subjects report warmth and good feeling toward the partner, they typically deny that he played a role in their own independence. The partnership variation shows that much of the power of the group came not merely from its numbers, but from the unanimity of its opposition. When that unanimity is punctured, the group's power is greatly reduced. Sometimes we go along with the group because what they say convinces us they are right. This is called informational conformity. But sometimes we conform because we are apprehensive that the group will disapprove if we are deviant. This is called normative conformity. The strength of the normative factor is shown in another variation carried out by Asch. In this variation, the subject is told that because he had arrived late, he would have to write his answers. Subjects in this private response experiment are exposed to the same amount of misleading information as other subjects, but they are immune from any possible criticism by the group.
One.
And this enormously reduces the pressure to conform. Conformity drops by 2/3. Asch's experiment is a classic. It reveals how people will deny what they see and submit to group pressure. It allows us not only to observe conformity, but to study the conditions that increase or reduce its occurrence.
There is no leader, is there?
Well, yes, there is. There's your leader.
Wird mehr gefordert als von den Millionen der übrigen Volksgenossen. Für sie genügt nicht die bloße Ablegung des Bekenntnisses, ich glaube, sondern der Schwur, ich setze.
Now listen carefully. There is no national youth movement. You thought you were so special, better than everyone outside this room. You traded your freedom for the luxury of feeling superior. You accepted the group's will over your own convictions, no matter who you hurt. Oh, you thought you were just going along for the ride, that you could walk away at any moment. But where were you heading? How far would you have gone? Take a look at your future.
Als das Gebot ihres Herzens nicht hergerufen hat, als das Gebot ihrer Freude.
Yes, you would have all made good Nazis. You would have put on the uniforms, turned your heads, and allowed your friends and neighbors to be persecuted and destroyed. Fascism isn't something those other people did. It's right here in all of us. You ask, how could the German people do nothing as millions of innocent human beings were murdered? How could they claim they weren't involved? What causes people to deny their own history? Well, if history repeats itself, you'll all want to deny what has happened to you in the wave. But if our experiment is successful, you will have learned that we are all responsible for our own actions, and that you must question what you do rather than blindly follow a leader, and that for the rest of your lives, you will never allow a group's will to usurp your individual rights. Now, I know this has been painful for you. It certainly has for me. But it's a lesson we'll all share for the rest of our lives.